Blog Talk Radio.
Sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff.
And from coast to coast and around the globe, you're listening to Tarot Today Radio. I'm your host, Dax Carlisle, executive producer of Psychic Talk and president of the Tarot Guild, coming to you live from Tucson, Arizona. We are a live call-in show, so give us a ring at 714-816-4628. You can also join us in the chat room on the Tarot Guild website, thetarotguild.com/chat. So just open a new tab in your browser and go to thetarotguild.com/chat and pop into the chat room with us. Let me give out that number one more time, 714-816-4628. We take the calls in the order that they come in. And as soon as you get through, remember to press 1 on your dial pad so we know that you want to be live on air with us. That's right. So today's show is sponsored by the Tarot Guild, the International Association for Tarot Lovers, Students, and Professional Tarot Readers since 2004. Come visit us over at thetarotguild.com, and it's 100% free to join the website. It's a social networking community website for tarot lovers. It's like Facebook for tarot. All the same features you find on those big social media websites, except this is tarot all the time and none of the negative stuff. So let me bring on my co-host. She is a certified tarot master, angelic healing practitioner, certified fairyologist, crystal Reiki master, the vice president of certification for the Tarot Guild, and a producer here on the Psychic Talk Radio Network. And here she is live from Amarillo, Texas, the one, the only Mary Brown. Hey, Mary, how you doing?
Hey, Dax. Hey, everybody. I'm doing pretty good. I hope everybody else is doing well, too. We finally got some sunshine here in Texas, and it feels good. Feels hopeful.
Happy Psychic Saturday. Happy Psychic Saturday.
Happy Psychic Saturday. Happy Tarot Today Saturday.
Something. Yeah.
Something.
Oh, God. Oh,
my.
It was rainy yesterday, but now the sun is back out. It's getting nice again here in Tucson.
Vitamin D, it feels good.
Oh yes, absolutely. And let's see. So we got a great topic for you today. Oh, also, I keep forgetting to mention on the show. We were talking about how tarot is becoming more and more mainstream. And you told me about tarot showing up in Cosmo.
Yeah, I've seen it in Cosmo, and then there was a great I forget the name of it. I think it's like Lively with Lily Singh that's on NBC. It's an NBC kind of sketch comedy show, and they did a whole huge thing on a big comedy sketch on tarot that was really funny. And I was like, wow, we have really gone way mainstream. We're in Cosmo magazine. We're on, the big broadcast channels on television, and it's just nice to feel a little normal. Because I feel like we, in a sense, we felt like outliers a little bit, because it's like, not the world wasn't like understanding exactly, or had all these weird concepts from, Hollywood movies, about what tarot readers do and what they're like. And now I feel like, okay, now it's like people get to see that it's not that unusual. Been around for several hundred years now. Hello.
Mhm. Yep, but they still have things wrong because they're still getting it wrong, But I they used to say even bad publicity is publicity, and there's no such thing as bad publicity. And so, I love it when I see tarot popping up in, even recent television. It's just really cool. And in fact, I've really seen an explosion of it where nearly every show I watch, there has to be something with tarot in it. It just blows my mind. It's unbelievable. Like Manifest came back on the air a few weeks back or so, and they have a whole thing in the whole narrative that it involves this tarot reader and tarot cards and, relating to the whole mystery and everything. And it's like, oh, wow, this is cool, And then the new Star Trek show, Picard, just wrapped, and I just saw the finale. It was, oh, my God, that whole season, this first season of Picard, just phenomenal. Just so well done. And so much fun and, nostalgic. And Patrick Stewart, who plays Picard, he even got CBS, it's on CBS All Access, their streaming network. He even got them to give everybody in the world, during this health crisis, like a free month of CBS All Access. So now you can go watch the whole season, this first season of Picard, and just go over to CBS All Access and use the code GIFT and get a free month, and you can watch Discovery and all the other shows that they have on there, but you'll also be able to watch the whole Picard season. And there actually was a scene, and it popped up in where they show parts of scenes before and after each episode and during things, like in the advertising and such. And so it kept showing up, and then they finally, and I saw this where I'm like, that looks like tarot cards. And we get to the scene, and, that's pretty much exactly what it was. It was Romulan tarot cards, and they're like triangles, and she's putting them down, and they're putting them together, and it was a significant part of the narrative, and I was like, wow, that is cool. I mean, the last place I ever thought I'd see tarot cards was on Star Trek, on Picard. I have seen hypnosis, which I also do. I've seen that on The Next Generation. It's popped up, and lots of other Star Trek, but first time for tarot cards, and it was a pretty awesome looking deck too. I just love that. So I love how it's just popping up in popular culture, and it's becoming more mainstream. Everybody's getting to kind of more accept it and so forth like that. And I'm totally amazed whenever I mention anything about tarot, just out and about in public places or, around groups of my friends and friends of friends. And and it comes up somehow, or somebody just mentions it, it'll come up and they'll go, oh, well, Dax does tarot, and people are fascinated.
Yeah. No, it's really cool.
I
Very
just love
cool.
how we've had the Tarot Guild for 16 years. We're in our 16th year. Just had our 15th anniversary in October, and just over the last 10, 15 years, the change has been sweeping, really.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we were in a different place for sure, like 10 years ago with a lot of this. We were just, like for me, we were just figuring out that like, oh, there's like a tarot community, that there's like, whoa, and then, finding out about Reader Studio and the Tarot School and the Tarot Guild and, all these things. And I was just like, oh, whoa, wait a minute, because I think, prior to the internet, a lot of tarot readers, you were really kind of on your own. You were in your community, and we didn't necessarily know that we had that large of a community.
That's right, and it's growing all the time. New people, young people coming in all the time. It's just amazing that what's happened in like 10 years. It's just incredible. Actually, the Reader Studio and the Tarot School, Ruth and Wald Amberstone were some of our first, like big name guests on Tarot Today Radio when we launched 10 years ago. And we recently heard from Ruth that Wald is not doing so well, that he's really sick, came down with the COVID-19. And we all need to send some healing energy, keep him in our thoughts and prayers, because they're icons of the tarot community, and we want a lot more Reader Studios. So
yes, we do. We want them back and up and kicking, and
yep.
bringing everybody together every year like they do.
Right. And that's the topic we decided to do for the Psychic Spin segment, this health crisis, the coronavirus, the COVID-19. And for those that don't know, Psychic Spin is a segment of the show that Mary and I came up with years and years back now, where we look at current events, things in the news, things in the collective consciousness of all of us that, all of us, or a large segment of the population, is thinking about. And the talking heads, the I don't want to say the news reporters, but the commentators, I don't know what you call them. There's a word for that. It just popped out of my head. Anyway, but they'll talk about current events, but we can actually use the tarot and sometimes a little numerology. So we'll pick a topic.
Yeah, we offer a different take. Like what insight can we gain from looking at this from another perspective that you don't get on the news. You get everybody's opinion on those commentary shows, and so what would the cards offer up as well. It's like we started with like trending topics and stuff, and what's really
and
remarkable
some famous
to
people
me,
that passed away, we did their numerology. Remember that? Oh
yeah, I remember that. I do, and that was interesting when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, whoa, because sometimes you see the astrological point of view, but you very rarely do you see the numerological point of view in that. But back when we chose this, when we were planning out the schedule for the month for the Tarot Today show, we thought, well, this COVID-19 thing, this coronavirus thing, it's like, okay, it looks like people are going to be talking about it for a while. Little did we know, that it would be
yes
overtaking everything, So it's kind of is kind of interesting because I don't think that we've had a topic that's been this pervasive that we've covered on a psychic spin.
That's right. It's like being able to do the psychic spin right at the beginning of, like right after Pearl Harbor, World War II starts to rage, and we're able to do a psychic spin on it. Yeah. It's like, well, I'm seeing in the cards that Churchill is going to do this. No, but
yeah.
But the thing is, the point is that Mary was just bringing up is that we had decided to do a psychic spin on this a while back. When it was still just kind of a there's this thing. I don't know if it's going to amount to anything, and then a few weeks later, look where we are.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
absolutely.
Amazing.
Oh, hey. Speaking of numerology, I've never done this before, but I'm going to put COVID-19 into the numerological calculator and look at the numbers on it. We could do coronavirus too. Now, coronavirus is a type. You'll notice that people originally kept saying coronavirus, and then they started going with the COVID-19. COVID-19 is the actual strain, whereas coronavirus is the type of virus. Like a flu is an influenza, but then each year they have a name with a tag with a number, and the number is the year. So COVID-19 just means that they discovered it in 2019. That's all that means. And the COVID is a coronavirus disease. CO for corona, VI for virus, D for disease. So that's what COVID-19 is. It's this actual strain that we're dealing with. Whereas coronavirus is many different viruses like SARS, for instance, and MERS, and all those.
Yeah.
So, it's amazing the education that we are getting on biology and viruses.
I know. It's wild. We're all like learning a lot.
Yes. So
Sanitation.
Looking at this, the name actually reduces to 9. It adds up to 36. 3 plus 6 is 9. 9 is endings. So for me, it's hinting that the first impression I get from this is that it's hinting at an ending of sorts to our normal everyday life way of doing things. And I don't mean just the simplex, like the fact that most of us are on lockdown now, and we're not doing our normal day to day and our normal work and our normal entertainment. I mean beyond that. I mean an ending to the way perhaps that we operate with nature, and I just feel like it's not going to happen tomorrow, but I feel like 50 or 100 years from now, they're going to look back and they're going to say, yeah, that COVID-19 outbreak in 2019, 2020, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and then there was the great shift that happened over the last 50 years. I think that's what's going to happen, you see.
Yeah. I would really like to see the wildlife trade end. Speaking of endings, where these diseases tend to come from.
And that's where they come from. And maybe that's a hint. Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. And also there's we need to return to balance. And the vowels in COVID-19 add up to 6, which is a number of harmony and balance. It's a return to balance after the chaos of 5. It's so perfect. And then, and vowels, if you're talking about a person, it's their name. You're talking about their hidden soul urge. And then the outward aspect is the personality, which is the consonants. And the consonants add up to, are you ready? 11, 2. Master number 11, the master illuminator number. This is a big wake-up call. And 2 is how we interact with other people. It's relationships and communication with other people and things along those lines. So, this actually, I am amazed because this actually all makes sense, and I didn't even think about doing the numerology until we started, you and I, talking about the numerology in the opening here. Let me do coronavirus real quick just to see what comes up. What comes up with coronavirus? So with coronavirus, we get the 9 also, only it's in the consonants. It's in the outer, and then the vowels, the solars, and the whole name or type of virus itself, they both reduce to 7, which is the highest spiritual number in numerology. Fascinating stuff. That is just fascinating stuff. Amazing.
That is.
Amazing. Yeah. So there you go. There's some numerology from the names. We can't always do numerology when we do these psychic spins because typically what we're doing is we're using a date. Like somebody passes away big in the news, and we will do a psychic spin on that person. Not Elton John, he didn't die. I'm trying to say we did do Elton John's numerology on a show for something. I can't even remember what it was, but we did do it. But no, with some of the big names passed away, I remember in the past we've done the numerology, and typically we're looking at their name and we're looking at their birth date. But then there'll be other topics in the news where there's really not a numerological angle to it, really, unless you can figure out the exact date that something started. And, with this, we kind of could take the first case in the United States being announced in Washington, which I don't know when that was. I think it was like January 24th or something like that. But anyway,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I'm just glad we were actually able to actually do some numerology. But we're also going to pull cards on this, and we've got some interesting questions that came in that we're going to look at, and people also in general just want us to pull cards on it, and how long is this going to last, kind of thing, and what's going on with this kind of thing.
Yeah.
What was some of the other the other questions that we had come in?
Well, a couple I thought were really interesting is because of the they're trying to map the genome. They're trying to learn as much as they can. Scientists have been working on this, samples from different parts of the world to see what the genome, how fast it's mutating. It doesn't seem to be mutating very quickly, which makes it easier to develop a vaccine for. But one of the things that I thought was interesting was this idea that, it came from the wildlife trade, which is a pretty cruel man's treatment of wildlife. And the question is, with that, and also a quick note on the whole thing too, is that we see the earth recovering in some ways. A lot of people were really pushing for change because of the climate crisis, and you have conservationists saying okay, you're now taking more drastic measures than we would have ever asked you to. And look at the planet. Places that have never really seen a clear sky are starting to see clear skies. So the question was, is this in some way nature's way of rebalancing? Is this the opportunity for the planet? Is somehow there a connection there? Because it doesn't seem exactly like a coincidence. And then another question I thought was really interesting, while they're mapping the genome, they're trying to determine what was there an intermediate species? They have a lot of bat RNA, DNA in this. So far, what they've seen, and they think maybe something else mixed with it, and then before it made the jump to humans. And somebody was wondering, could that have an extraterrestrial element to it? So I thought, okay, wow, that's interesting to look at.
Oh, okay.
Why not?
Other entities, extraterrestrials or other entities, Yeah, you see, folks, how fun this is. We can go in all different directions. There's also people in the chat room throwing out lots of great stuff. If you're not in the chat room yet, as you're listening, open another tab in your browser. And, oh, geez, I just lost it. Hold on. Let me bring back my chat room here. Okay, so open a new tab in your browser. Type in thetarotguild.com/chat. Or if you're already on the website, navigation bar at the top of any page, the far right, you'll see the chat link. Just click chat. And, yes, you have to join the website, but that's what we were talking about in the beginning of the show. It's 100% free to join. Yeah. So just join and pop in the chat room and join us. There's Susan in there, Jason Spillman that you were just referring to, actually, Mary. Renee Rose is in there. And they've got some really great stuff. Renee was asking, what's the guidelines for questions? Hey, folks, anything you want us to ask. Now, I'm not saying we're going to get to do every single question because we do have callers to go to as well. But we'll look at as much as we can. And some of the examples that Renee gave and was talking about is, is there an underlying agenda? And that kind of fits in really well with the, is this nature trying to rebalance? Is there an extraterrestrial agenda? We can look at all of that. And also she said, can we even ask the tarot how long the lockdown will last, or will it get even worse in more close downs, I think, such as closing more medical offices, more grocery stores, even more bank branches. And let's see, Jason Spillman, how is the best way, or I think what he meant was what is the best way of helping others during this time? Hey, I don't need the cards for that. It's frickin' stay home, people. That's the best way to help everybody. Stay home. And if you do have to go out, keep that social distancing, 6-7 feet. Wash your hands. Use your hand sanitizer. I have a hand sanitizer in my car. So if I rarely go out, of course, but if I have to go to the food store, we're dying, we need food, whatever, or I still go to church on Sundays, and I'll get in the car and I spray the hand sanitizer on, and do the rubbing, and then I drive to where I'm driving and I do the hand sanitizer again. I go inside, I wash my hands while I'm in there a couple times. When I leave, I come back out to the car, hand sanitizer again. So I'm thinking of the practical things. I guess we could ask the tarot that question though, see if something else pops up, or at least pull a card on it or something like that. Yeah. What one do you want to do first? I kind of want to do the one I really want to do first is I'm thinking doing you tell me if you already pulled cards on something and you need to do something else first, but I'm thinking like I want to do the extraterrestrial one, and then
me too.
And then after that I want to do the whole nature. Is this a is this guy saying smacking us or something, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to pull some cards here. On shuffle. Okay, so we're looking at now, is there an alien or extraterrestrial or a other entities component to this or something like that? Let's see what we're getting here. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, I'm getting a strong indication from the cards that this is very much a Earth-based thing, and it does not involve entities or an extraterrestrial agenda. I'm getting things like the Page of Wands saying that for those of us in the United States, this happened overseas and is coming and came here. This is a a thing that started, in China. It's overseas, and then I'm getting cards like the Ace of Coins and the Nine of Pentacles, both of which have these lavish gardens. Okay, and so it's connected to the earth. It's connected to nature. That this is a natural thing. We've had coronaviruses for millions of years, and this is just a new strain coming out of nature, that there's nothing that it's natural, that it's not created, it's not someone else's agenda. They were also passing around the whole, it was created in government laboratories and taken to China and launched there. I'm just not seeing that. The feeling I'm getting from these cards just is not that. And then my reading is bookended by the Strength card and the King of Cups. And, both of those cards are talking about different aspects of the same thing, where the King of Cups is emotionally stable even on the rough seas. So he, in the traditional Waite Smith version, he's sitting on a stone throne, very solid, unmoving, and then under him and around him are these super rough seas going on. Okay, and so he's able to maintain his emotional balance and stay steady through this rough situation. And then the Strength card, of course, is tapping into, and it's interesting, that same card came up yesterday when Dr. Rose and I were talking about it. And of course, that's inner strength, and having courage and dynamism, self-control. Self-control, obviously, have self-control to not go out, to keep your social distancing, all that kind of thing. Resolve and optimism is another aspect of this card, optimism. And so we need to maintain the emotional stability and have the optimism, maintain our optimism through this, and we will get through this. So that's what I'm getting on the extraterrestrial thing. What are you getting?
What I'm getting, I think, is kind of interesting. A lot of twos, Two of Cups, Two of Swords.
Oh, yeah.
The High Priestess as well, the Magician card, the Eight of Swords. And the way this is laid out, the message to me is that no, the extraterrestrial involvement or being a component of that's not what this is about. They are not interfering with this. That Two of Swords is saying, like, they're like they're not active. That Eight of Swords is saying like that, they're not interfering. The Magician, I feel like that's sort of representing them and saying that, like, there's an awareness. There's an awareness of what's going on Earth right now, coming from that outside. But it really, this is our opportunity to really look within ourselves. When we, come up with these conspiracy theories, what you really find with them is that it's, oh boy, let's put the blame everywhere else. It's got to be everywhere else. It couldn't be because we're at fault for our behavior. It's saying, like, no, it's got to come, there's got to be an agenda. Somebody's trying to get us. We need an enemy instead of an invisible threat. I understand. Yes. I think it's human nature to try to do that. But the High Priestess is saying, like, time to take a look at ourselves. Time to, like, kind of, you're quiet right now. You have this opportunity to really look within and learn the lesson and tap into that inner knowing and that inner knowledge. And that Two of Cups, come together, harmony, unity. This is our opportunity for that. So the extraterrestrials are not trying to do anything, but I do think that there's an awareness out there of what's going on here, and maybe just watching the Earth show to see what happens. What do we do about it? Do we change anything?
Watching the Earth show, yeah. Third rock, right?
Sure, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, a couple things I wanted to mention before we move on is I forgot to mention, okay, the Ace of Coins, and I talked about the Garden, and then, of course, the Garden appearing with the Nine of Pentacles, okay? I also forgot to mention that, both of them are Earth, Earth element cards being Pentacles, but also the Ace of Coins. Remember, this is called, or was originally called oh God, now I'm going to forget the word. The novel, I think the novel coronavirus, meaning that it's something brand new that we haven't experienced, and that's what obviously an ace is. It's talking about something new. And then the other thing is, you mentioned you got the Eight of Swords. I got the Strength card, which is also the 8. The 8 is abundance, like we mentioned earlier in numerology. And that was a big part of what we discussed on the show yesterday, Dr. Rose and I, that no matter how bad a situation is, there's always the other side of the coin. There's always really positive things, like what we're hearing about, how this has already had an impact on clearing up the carbon emissions, and Guy is already healing just weeks into this, or a couple months into this, if you go worldwide, and then for all of us, it's like a reset. Here we are sitting at home. We talked on the show yesterday about all these things you could be doing, like literally cleaning out the closets, all the way to working on, any blocks you have to abundance, taking courses and studying, and advancing yourself. And there's so many positive things that could be done. A lot of people that work with clients in one way or another, therapists, hypnotherapists, tarot readers, so forth, are having to do it long distance. Some people are for the first time learning this stuff, how to use Skype, how to use Zoom. And what it's doing is that after this crisis is over, they can go back to seeing in-person clients, but now they have an outlet that they never had before. They have a way of working with clients across the entire globe, not just locally where they are. You're limited by the number of clients by where you live, but by being able to use Zoom or Skype or Facebook video call, you can, you've got 5 billion people or something on the internet or whatever it is at this point. It grows every year. So that's another aspect to this is, what is the other side? And it's true of any major event where we label it a negative. And what I've also discovered over the years is the worse we label it in the negative, the more powerful the positive can be on the other side. So things like 9/11 were really bad. And when 9/11 happened, I demonstrated this principle. I call it the temperance principle. It actually comes from the temperance card in tarot. And I've developed this over like the last 25 years, this principle. And I showed how while this horrific thing, 9/11, was happening, all the negative things that we were seeing in the news, on the other side, there was all these positive things happening. Arguably, this situation with this health crisis is far worse than 9/11 ever was. But also the potential rewards are far greater if you take this opportunity for what it actually is, a huge opportunity, and go with it. So that's a lot of what we talked about on the show yesterday, Dr. Rose and I. Be sure to go check it out in archive. It was one of the best shows we've ever done. It's also the longest show we've ever done because we had such great calls and, talking about all of this stuff. We were basically setting up this show, we told everybody every 5 minutes, hey, don't forget to tune in tomorrow because we're going to, do this in the psychic spin. And I think we ended up going an hour and 45 minutes, almost 2 hours yesterday. It was just crazy. Goodness.
Well,
so now I'm going to shuffle.
Should we do another, shuffle on that? And then I guess, we're at the bottom of the hour already. I can do upcoming shows after we take a look at the nature aspect of this. Is this rebalancing?
Yeah. Okay, the coronavirus, the COVID-19, and this whole nature thing, is it a way of nature's way of rebalancing the earth, and especially to avoid the climate catastrophe that we're headed for, I always thought that, if we get really bad and never come around, nature's going to wipe us out somehow.
We laugh. But yeah. Yes.
Okay, so right off the bat, I get the Queen of Coins, the Queen of Pentacles. If there's any card of the deck, Pentacles obviously being Earth. If there's anything that is Mother Nature, it's the Queen of Pentacles. So here she is showing up, and the Two of Pentacles popping in, saying, yeah, it's kind of about rebalancing here, folks. The Emperor shows up, and, the Emperor is representative of the human race. And, here we are sitting on our stone throne. There's that Leo energy going on with the ram's heads, and it's just when I look at it, he's actually sitting right next to the Queen, and she, how in the traditional Waite Smith, she leans to the right and away, and is in that nurturing position where she's holding the pentacle like it's a baby. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Mary?
Yes.
And then the Emperor is paying no attention. The Emperor is looking straight ahead, and so he's got the red robes on. He's following his own passions, and this is for the whole human race. We're just doing what we think we're supposed to be doing. We're doing what we want to do. We're following our passions, and with no regard to nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a feeling, that this is really pointing towards its more nature rebalancing. I got the Ace of Swords, beginning of a victory, the seed of an idea, an ultimate search for an ultimate truth, clarity. I think that's a big part of this is this is really opening a lot of people's eyes and clarifying. What are you getting?
Well, it's interesting. I got the World card, which I was like,
there you
okay,
go.
That makes sense. Yeah, I got the World card, I got the King of Wands, the Queen of Cups, the Queen of Swords, and I got the Four of Pentacles overlooking everything. So to me, what that's saying is that Four of Pentacles often has to do with the idea of management. We a lot of times we talk about managing our money. Don't hold on too tightly. You got to kind of it's balanced in that way. But I feel what this is saying is that it's a type of natural management that's going on, and really what you were saying about how we have been just doing whatever we want to do really fits to me with the King of Wands. That energy that's just like, you know what, I'm going to do it. This is going to be good for me. I'm going to, I don't care what happens, with the natural environment around this big plant that we need to build. We don't have to pay any attention to those things. That's not important. What's important is being successful and making money. And then the Queen of Cups is like the central focus card. So I feel like, look, it's not a thing where nature is attacking us. This is about that integration that we see with the World card, that we're one species on the planet. We're just one species. We think we're everything. We think we're the only thing that counts. But we're one of several species that depend on this planet to provide, habitat, to provide the foods and everything that we need. And, those other species, many species have gone extinct because of our behavior. A lot of other things have happened that, even damages our own species when you think of pollution. And the Queen of Swords, I feel like, if there was an attitude that I would attribute to nature in this particular case, it's like, okay, cut to the chase. This is what needs to be done. This is going to happen. Also, that idea of balance to me also speaks of like cause and effect. That this is not an attack. That this is like there was a cause. This is the effect of it. It's not done to harm us in particular. We're not being, we're not at war with nature or anything like that. But it's just that we're part of a whole. We're part of all the inhabitants of that earth. We're integrated. Our lives are connected to the lives of other species and plant life, etc. So I think this is like managing the planet, trying so that so we can all be
However,
here.
I do want to throw in, however, that it pops in my mind that because I didn't mention yet the central focus card that I had, and that's the Five of Swords. And there's an element of humiliation in that card. And so I still think it is Gaia putting us in our place a little bit. I mean, it's not like nature's like you said, it's not like nature's at war with us. That nature doesn't want to get rid of us, but just wants to put us back in our place for a few minutes here. Time out, folks.
Yeah. And that's such a great way to put it. Our place is not necessarily every place. That there's other species that have a place too.
Exactly, yeah. That's right. And I really do see this as a global timeout, as a reset.
Yeah.
And a lot more positive can come out of this than the negative that we're experiencing, living through. We label everything as a positive or negative. We're labeling it as a negative. And, of course, it is. The tragic aspects, so many people coming down with the illness, so many people dying, so forth like that. But, I want to remind everybody that, folks, this happens every year with the flu. 200,000 to 250,000 people worldwide every single year die from the flu, okay?
Which we have a vaccine and we have medicine for, and we don't have that with this. That's why it's such a problem.
Well, yeah, but first of all, not everybody takes the vaccine. I mean, I don't do the vaccine. I've had some negative things I won't go into about that, and I just refuse to do vaccines. And most people get the flu, and they take their temperature, and I take some aspirin and I lay down in my bed. I don't get antivirals or anything like that. That's if you get really, really, really bad and you're getting towards pneumonia. And then you go in to the ER, and they might put you on an antiviral, and then if it gets really, really bad, they put you on a ventilator. But that is a tiny percentage of the people, the 40 million Americans that come down with the flu every year. It's a tiny percentage. So yes, the things that we label bad are happening, and we unfortunately have to experience this and go through this. However, all viruses are a bell curve. At some point, you reach the other end of the curve, and as we come out of this, and even before we come out of this, while we're all on lockdown, there are so many positive things that we could be doing. Great changes we can make to our lives.
Yeah. And you mentioned a lot of them that it's just like excellent advice, and I did like what was it, Jason's question about, what's the best way of helping others during this time, because, I was watching a World Health Organization press conference. They do a daily briefing online, and they really were trying to stress the point that, this is about physical distancing. That, we want to still be connected to each other, still be supportive of each other. So socially connected but physically distanced. And I think if we look at it that way, that's a great way of helping each other, because, there's people that feel very alone in our self-isolation that's imposed. There's people that, are kind of struggling with it. They don't like, etc. The concept is foreign to a lot of people, but, it's something where we can still be connecting. And I think that's a way of helping others.
Yeah, one of the things that I mentioned on the show yesterday is that I've been telling everybody, hey, because my focus with my hypnosis business is I specialize in helping people quit smoking, and especially veterans, because they smoke at a rate double the national average, and I'm heavily involved with the local veteran organizations here in Tucson. And I'm telling everybody, this is the best time. You will never get a better time in your life to quit smoking if you want to quit smoking, because you're not having the social triggers you normally have. You're at home, so you're not having the, like if you normally smoke in your car, you're not getting in your car driving anywhere and having that trigger. If you smoke when you go to restaurants, you're not having that trigger. If you smoke when you go to bars, if you smoke when you are hanging out with your other friends, a lot of which smoke, you're not hanging out with them right now. So this is like the best time in your life. If you want to quit smoking, if you're a smoker that wants to quit smoking, do it now while we're all in lockdown, and it's going to help you with your health. It's also, the doctors are recommending that, slow down or quit smoking just because it makes you more susceptible to catching the virus.
Yeah.
But this is just one. I just wanted to put that.
You help people with that, don't you? How can they contact you to look into that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you could just contact me through my page on the Tarot Guild site. It's thetarotguild.com/DAX. DAX is my name. D as in David, A as in Alan, X as in X-ray. DAX. So it's thetarotguild.com, thetarotguild.com/DAX, and I'd be happy to chat with you about it. But I just wanted to finish up on that by saying that, here's an example, and, there's millions of them. This is an example of how, perfect this situation is for creating something extremely good and valuable to the individual, where they can better their health by stopping smoking. And it's just this particular thing where we are all, I don't want to say sheltering at home. All the descriptive adjectives and stuff that they use on the news, I don't like any of them. There's got to be a better term for this, where we are quarantining. Self-quarantining is my favorite, I think, if I have to pick one. So while we're self-quarantining,
we're all taking a staycation.
Staycation. We're all able. Here's an example of something that you can take advantage of this, and I think a lot of people are not seeing this. That's why I made a big deal about it today. That's why I made a big deal about it on yesterday's show, because I want people to see the opportunities that are out there and not just the negative. Also, there's a lot of anxiety and so forth going on, and that's the thing, Mary, is that by refocusing on what we can do, not what we can't, and doing things to better our lives, it's going to get rid of the anxiety, you see, and help us with that aspect as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
One thing that I've been, really hammering in, the Reiki circles that I'm in and all different types of healing that I'm involved with is like reminding, because I think what happens is if we get that anxious about it, we get in panic mode, we start to get down about it all and worry, we're not practicing. We're not practicing what we know how to do that self-care for ourselves. We're not to do some self-Reiki if you do Reiki. And from the very beginning of this, way back when, I was saying if we were doing the things to take care of ourselves the way we do when we feel like a cold coming on. You take that vitamin C, you eat better, you have some hot tea, you kind of take it easy because you don't want to catch the cold. This isn't the cold, people. But take care of yourself, even if you haven't tested yet, even if you don't know. Just start taking care of yourself so that your body is in the good shape, the healthiest state that for you is going to give you what you need to be able to, fight off to the extent that it can be fought off naturally. So practice those things. If you meditate, be meditating. We need to be vigilant about that we're doing what we can to stay in the healthiest state that we can. That's normal for us, not going out of our way to do something crazy, but just do the things we know how to do.
Oh, there's so much that could be done, just naturally. And I'll give you a couple of things. One is they're talking a lot about the fluids. You got to drink lots and lots of fluids. This is a virus that prefers the dry throat and the dry mouth, and that's why a lot of these types of viruses are winter things. Okay, you got your summer colds and all that kind of stuff, and why this one is a winter one. So you want to drink lots of fluids, especially water, lots and lots and lots of water continuously. And in fact, if you can take a few sips every 10 to 15 minutes, even if you've got something into your mouth or throat, you're washing it down into the stomach. It's being destroyed by the stomach acid. Okay, so taking sips every few minutes, drinking lots of fluids all day long, especially if you go out, but you should be doing it anyway. And another great one is tapping the thymus. The thymus is where our T cells mature and where they come from. That is the basis of our immune system. So you can actually boost your energy like anytime. Like, we all have the middle of the day slump, and if you want to boost your energy, you tap on the thymus. Also, if you're leaving your house, you have to go out into the public, you can give your immune system a boost whenever you want. And it's under the sternum, and it's a little ways up from the center of the sternum and an inch or so below the collarbone, right there in the center. And you can just take a couple of fingers and tap on there like you would doing EFT. You don't want it to be too hard. You don't want to bruise yourself. You don't want it to be too light, but you want to have like a cushion from it. You want to hear and feel that percussion. Then you're hitting it at the right strength. So that's the thalamus. So there's just a couple of things: tapping the thalamus and drinking fluids.
Yes, and next Saturday on There's a Rock for That, I will be talking about different crystals. And, thymus comes in, through the higher heart chakra, how we connect to it. So tune in next Saturday for that. We'll be talking about, crystals that can be helpful during this time as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you want a visual, if you're like me, you're a visual person, you just go to Google and you type in thymus, THYMUS, and click on images, and it'll show you right where it is, so you know exactly where to tap. So that helps boost the immune system. And then emotional freedom technique, tapping in general, like you already mentioned, is enormous for this. When you're having anxiety, when you're having negative feelings around it, all of this anxiousness or whatever it is that you're feeling, there's always an emotional component to it. And if you can figure out the emotions and then tap on those emotions. Awesome sauce. I think you were going to do the upcoming shows.
Yes. Real quick, what is coming up on the Psychic Talk Radio Network? Our next show is going to be Monday, March 30th at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, the Wisdom of the Soul show with your host, Janice Fuchs. And then that will be followed at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern on Monday, the Compassionate Light Healing and Guidance show with your host, Catherine Hahn. The topic is Reclaiming Your Power. And then after that, Friday, April 3rd, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, the doctors are in with host Dr. Rose Wilkerson and our Doc Carlisle. They'll be doing open lines all show long and tarot mini readings, and their topic is living life on purpose. I love that title. And then I'll be back next Saturday with There's a Rock for That, and I'll be doing open lines all show long, tarot mini readings, and, doing tarot readings in a different way on that show, and also using crystal dice along with the tarot Wheel of Life. And my main topic for that show, even though I'll be discussing different crystals that could be helpful during this time, is malachite, a crystal for this moment. So you're going to want to tune into that and say, okay, why is malachite specific to this moment that we're experiencing? So that's the upcoming shows. And you can find that by going to, right? You can find that by going to psychictalk.net/upcoming.
Awesome. Sounds great. So we do have a couple more questions that we wanted to do, and then we're going to take some phone calls. If you haven't gotten in there yet, it's 714-816-4628. Back in the chat room, meanwhile, thetarotguild.com/chat. A lot of questioning and things going on. We might have to take some of these things and make them a new psychic spin for the next psychic spin. I know Rini is asking a lot about 5G and about stadiums where cell phones and people coming together and I guess the radiation. I'm not exactly sure what she's talking about there exactly. But we could turn that into a question for next time. I did want to say this about that, however, because at the very end she says something about asking the tarot cards, is the 5G connected or responsible for the 19 global lockdown? First of all, the 5G is not going to have anything to do with the lockdown. The lockdown is a response to what's happening to mitigate the spread of the disease. Now, let's look at the disease. The disease is all over the world, folks, and 5G is rare everywhere. It almost non-existent. I was all excited about 5G, went to look at the map on Verizon, because I have Verizon Wireless, and there's like one part of a tiny place in the middle of Tucson that has 5G, and there's no other 5G. From Verizon anyway.
Yeah.
T-Mobile claims to have it across the entire country. But still, that's just the United States. We're so central focused. And that's part of the big wake-up call here, is that we're in an entire world, people. We are not just the United States. And
yeah.
It just blows my mind how we are so focused on ourselves. And the thing is that, across the entire world this is happening. And most of the world doesn't have any 5G. So, no, it has nothing to do with 5G. However, I do think there's something interesting about all of the communication signals and over the airwaves and, how is that affecting anything, if it is at all, when you got 60,000 people in close quarters sitting in a stadium? Everybody has a cell phone in their pocket. 60,000 cell phones, along with everything else, all the communication towers, all the communication things going on for, like, say, a football game. That would be an interesting topic to pull some cards on, though, I think, in the future.
I think
psychic spin. Yeah.
A lot of people are wondering about that, but not in connection with this. And one connection that we see with communication and the internet with this is, when the EU asked Netflix to go to low-res videos instead so they could break the internet in Europe because, everybody's on right now. Everybody's like, okay, a lot of people staying home, they're streaming Netflix, they're doing all this stuff, and, hotspots still need to communicate. Everybody needs to keep the communication going and stuff. So I've seen a strain on our communication system because of this global pandemic. But other than that, yeah, you're right. There's places 5G may eventually get there, but it's a ways away. And this pandemic may actually put those dates further back.
Right. Absolutely. And by the way, I do have some other stuff. I don't know if I'm going to write this up or something, but I do have some other different kinds of NLP and techniques and energy techniques that I'd like to share with folks, and might do that on another show, or I might write it up as an article, but I'll announce that on one of our shows when I get that out there. So, let's wrap this up. Want to pull some cards on the epidemic in general, because that would feed into some of the questions about, when, how, if it'll ever end.
Yeah.
What's going on, any details that might come through. I'm just going to shuffle and pull some cards here. Why don't you go first this time? I'll let you go first, because I feel like I'm hogging it here, so I'm going to let you go first.
You are, but we love you. I'm just teasing. No, so just a general look, like what is it? Like, I guess I'm looking at that thing of like, what is it that like isn't been obvious to us about all this, and is there any indication of what we can expect time-wise? I would say, an end to the lockdowns and all of that, this is all being driven by the data. It's like when you have a hot spot, you got to have it locked down hopefully before it gets to that level anyway. So that could be different. That could be something that's rolling out for people in different locations, and definitely we see it, being a different thing around the world. So it's not like a global lockdown that's happening everywhere at once. It's not happening where I am in Texas right now. A lot of us feel it should be, but it's not. But let's just see what comes up in the cards of like, what's the thing that maybe we're not, really focusing on right now. And, what it is interesting. It's like, I get the Eight of Cups here underlying everything. And to me, that's kind of an interesting card because, on the one hand, it really is about, being able to move onward and upward. It's like sometimes some things have to be left behind. And when I look at the traditional imagery of that card, I do get a sense of like kind of melancholy because of the, the color palette used. But one of the things about the Eight of Cups that it's like my little, phrase that I associate with it that sometimes pops into my head is that a reality check brings clarity. And so maybe that's it, that this is like kind of a reality check for a lot of us. And then the other card that comes up is the Seven of Pentacles. And when I see the Seven of Pentacles, I'm like, okay, we got to manage our expectations here. We got to like learn patience. Things are going to blossom again. They really are. But, if we are like watching the clock saying like, okay, is it over tomorrow? Is it over now? Is it going to be over in a couple hours? No. It probably isn't. But, patience allows us to not be looking at the clock like that and realizing that, it's like having faith to me, of like the faith that like this too shall pass. And in the meantime, if, watch kettle doesn't boil, right? We can't just like stare at it every day and say, come on, hurry up and be over. We have to, kind of develop that patience. And then, the couple other cards that come up here are the Judgment card and the Magician card. And the Magician card to me is like almost speaking, like I feel like it's speaking to like buying and hoarding that we're seeing. Our town, like a lot of towns, is still out of paper products like toilet paper and all of that stuff. And the Magician is like saying like, we have all the resources we're going to need. It's not. This is a viral pandemic. It's not a scenario where everything we won't have food, we won't have anything. So I think it's like, remember, we do have the resources. We will have the resources. We're not running out of the resources, okay? So just keep that in mind. Get what you need, make it last and go get what you need. But don't, buy like it's the end of the world, because it's not. It's not the end of the world. If that was a question anyone had, the answer is no. And then that judgment card, is really interesting because it's like, look, it's like the call is how I think of it. And I think that, like, in a lot of ways, we are being called to really connect to our better angels, right, our higher selves, and to, have compassion for each other, and to really look at, the decisions going forward with us. So that's what I'm getting. What are you getting, Dax?
Okay, let's take a look here. I did want to comment on what you were saying, because I actually thought of that this morning. I was trying to think of a good example, and I finally thought of something. I think before we were talking about Dustin Hoffman and Outbreak, and some of the more recent movies. But how you said, this is not the end of the world. And what I thought of this morning was an old movie from, I want to say it could have been the late 60s, but I think it was the 70s, and it was called Andromeda Strain, one of my favorite science fiction movies of all time. And I could still see him getting shot in the face by the laser as the building is trying to quarantine him and not let him escape. And there's this laboratory way down in the earth, and they're experimenting and creating things and the worst pathogen, and so, like, if a little bit of this pathogen gets out, the entire world dies, period, kind of thing. That's not what we're talking about here. No. It's completely the opposite. It's not. It's not the end of the world. It's not where we have to, like, hoard everything, like you were saying, Mary. Go into our bunker and wait it out for 10 years. That's not what's happening here, folks. Calm down. All right. And then looking at the cards, I get the Queen of Swords as the first card, and it's the logical, the analytical response to this, and what we're doing, and it's great for the beginning of it, where we are, okay, what can we logically, common sense do to prevent further spread of the virus. However, I don't think it's going to last as long as people think it's going to last, especially for the majority of the areas in the United States. Now, I'm not talking about the epicenters. I'll get to that in a second. Okay, so there is a message coming in, the Knight of Cups, a message of rebalancing and of emotional stability. And the Knight of Cups is moving towards the center focus, which is the Six of Cups. Typically, the nostalgia card in numerology, in tarot. And so what this is talking about is it's talking about a return to normality, a return to the way things were before. So there's this message coming, we had the initial response, message coming through very soon that we are going to be moving back to a resemblance of normality for the majority of, and of course I'm talking about the United States, because that's where I am. Okay, and I'm not in an epicenter, and there's virtually nothing going on here in Arizona. I mean, yes, we have cases, but a fraction of the number of cases that we've had with the flu. In fact, Arizona typically has a lot more flu cases than other states in the United States. And we've had a few deaths, but not anywhere near what we lost in the flu. Just the ordinary influenza people. And I just have a feeling that, the epicenters you talk about, especially, obviously the New York area, the whole Northeast, and parts of California, Washington State, yeah, it's not going to be over quick there, folks, But for the rest of the country, I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And that could be anywhere from couple weeks to 6 weeks, somewhere in there, because I'm getting a lot of sixes. And that's another thing I wanted to bring up is that I'm getting a lot of sixes. I just mentioned the Six of Cups. I also got the Lover's card, which is a 6. 6 is, once again, that return to balance and harmony. Okay, and what it's referring to here, I think, also is that we have to take a balanced approach. In other words, as parts of the country return to normality, we have to do it in a balanced way. We can't just stop doing the social distancing instantly. We can't go back to normal. I'm talking about returning to a resemblance of normal, where we can go out to the bar and we can go to work, but we still have to use common sense, and we still need to wash our hands, and we still need to use the hand sanitizer, and we still gotta cough into your elbow, into the bend of your arm, or hopefully you actually have Kleenex, and wash our hands and stay away from people when we don't have to be right on top of them, and things like that, So I really think we are seeing light at the end of the tunnel. Now for the people that are hardest hit, the areas that are hardest hit, I'm getting, for the timing there, I'm getting a 7. So at least 7 weeks before they reach the bottom of the bell curve on this. The other thing is that timing card is coming from the 7 of Cups. So when this is all over, it might be 7 months from now, I don't know, where we look back at the numbers and everything, we're going to see that there's a lot of fantasy and illusion going on. A lot of things were reality, other things were blown out of proportion. And this will come to light in the future, because this is the last card. This is the farthest out into the future. And I think we're going to have reflection on this, and we're going to examine it and look at the response or lack thereof in the beginning, and we're going to be able to pick this out and see, okay, this was all illusory, this was illusion, this was fantasy, this is not actually happening. This over here, this was happening. I think that's what we're going to find. So that's what I got on this.
Yeah.
Awesome sauce.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me X out of this, and we're going to reshuffle the cards here. I know we got some questions in the chat room, but I want to take a call real quick. Are you ready, Mary?
Yes,
we'll take a call.
Let's do it. Let's
Any
do
last things you want? Any last things you want to say on the psychic spin before we take a call?
Yeah. Actually, it's interesting. We also have a Facebook group for our Psychic Talk Radio network. You can find us on Facebook, and I shared a card of the day there, and it just sort of stands out to me. It was from the Oracle of the Fairies by Karen Kay. Ginger Kelly does the artwork on it, and the card was hope, and saying that hope is always there, even if we can't see it, and that optimistic expectations can help change the negative situation into a positive one. And even though you might be surrounded by people that are full of doubt, and they're feeling really negative and stuff, and that can make it extra challenging to be hopeful, you got to remember that hope comes from a deep place within ourselves, within our hearts. And so, regardless of what's going on, that can be a very healing thing, is to hold on to that hope that you have, that this is going to pass, and that there's going to be better better days ahead and that it's not lasting forever, that it's a temporary situation. It drags on, but it's still temporary. So I just wanted to kind of mention that.
Awesome sauce. Also, on our Psychic Talk Radio group and our Tarot Guild group, which, by the way, we are, I think, just 50 shy of 6,000 members on the Tarot Guild Facebook group. And on both those groups, I just posted a picture of where the thalamus is located. So you know exactly where to tap to boost your immune system during this crisis. So go check that out on our groups and join our groups while you're over there, Psychic Talk Radio and Tarot Guild. Okay, so it looks like area code 305 has been waiting. I think they've been waiting about 2 weeks for us to pick up. Caller, are you there? What's your name and where are you calling from?
Dax, you said 2 weeks? That's so cute.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Well, when this thing all came down, I got a message in the beginning of March that I wanted to stop what I was doing because I kept going out, and I said, Lord, I just want to stay home and go within and do my creative work for you, and God gave it to me. So what my message is all about is take time now for all the time you never had to do the things that you never had time to do, like maybe read a book, like maybe hang out with your kids, like do a jigsaw puzzle, like do some sewing, like gardening, read some fairy tales, write some fairy tales. All these things that people, I don't have time. I never have time. I can't do this. I can't. Well, now, God, this is a gift. I believe it's a gift.
Yeah, let me stop you.
That.
Let me stop you. Let me stop you right there because there's two big things. One is we never got your name and where you're calling in from.
I know. I'm sorry. My name is Eileen, and I'm from South Florida. Yeah.
Oh, hi, Eileen. Are you the one in the chat room, by the way?
Yes, I am.
Awesome.
So everything you guys are saying, I totally feel.
Wait, hold on. I've got Eileen. Hold on. I said there was two really big things. First one is I had to get your name and where you're calling in from. Second one is Eileen just admitted it on live radio in front of tens of thousands of people that she is the cause for this, that she asked for some downtime, and now we're all freaking in lockdown because of freaking Eileen.
Thanks, Eileen.
I'll take responsibility.
Thanks a lot, Eileen.
I'll take responsibility.
No, but you're so
put it
right.
on my shoulders.
Right, but what a beautiful message, and I thanks so much for calling in to share that with us, because that is really valuable, I think, to a lot of people.
Oh,
Be
good.
creative.
Well, yeah, this was given to us so that we could face whatever it is that we wished we could do, we couldn't do because we didn't have the time to do it, and now we have the time, so no more procrastination. And what's going to come out of that is so much individuality and freedom of thought and freedom of no more self-judgment, no more self-persecution, all the things that were blamed to us to own, which aren't ours to begin with because we were not born into darkness. We were born into the light. So we carry the light within us. And if we all start listening to that clarity of information or clarity of inspiration or intuition, we're going to start seeing so many people have talents and gifts that they never knew that they had. Maybe they had compassion all of a sudden that they never could have because somebody told them that you can't be so silly and you can't allow people to come to you for things. You're going to be taken advantage of. Well, maybe that's their choice to help in this way. So I think it's a really blessing that God has given us now, and I love God. I'm not a religious person. I just talk to Spirit all the time, and Spirit tells me what to do. So I think that everybody has an opportunity now to try those things that they were afraid to do before, because there's nobody out there now judging them, right? There's nobody looking over their shoulder. And just if you're so drawn to something and someone says no, so excuse me, you follow your path and I'm going to follow my path. Everybody has to start standing up for themselves now.
Right
we
on.
have to take our charge because we were born. As I look out my plants out there, every leaf on a tree is not the same as the one next to it. Some are smaller, some are fatter, some are wider, but they're all of the same species. Well, then you go to another tree, and that has a different leaf, and that grows in a different direction. And maybe it's upside down or going to the left or going up or down. And that's what we all are. We're all individuals. And that's what we're the voice of God on the planet. We're the hands of God on the planet. And I think this world is going to become so unique and so humanitarian, so Aquarian, because we're heading in that direction. And now Saturn's in Aquarius, right? Well, what my lesson was when I was 28 about Saturn was that I felt like I was in a box. But then God said, no, you're in the box, and that box goes into infinity. So go and delve into the infinity of your soul. Go in there and find the magic that's in you that I gave you, because you have so many opportunities in there, and you can pull them out. So I think that's a good thing for the times we're in right now.
No, beautiful message. Thanks so much for calling.
Well, thanks for letting me share.
Absolutely.
You want to pull a card or two for me?
Yes.
Please?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm going to pull a card for you right now from my Angels of the Light deck, because what could be more perfect, right? What's going on right now? It's like, that's the deck. Yeah, nice. It's the angel of guidance. It's just saying, like, you know, you're spot on. You follow that guidance, because it's really, and it's important that you hold that light and share that with others, like you just did today on our show. So I hope, you know, do that with people in your life and in your circles as well, because there's people that, you know, they need to, you know, connect to that. And I know you connect people to the light through your artwork. And, you know, I think also, you know, your words are just as beautiful as your artwork is.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
And what I'm finding is people have, like you were talking about hope, that's a big one. First you have to have faith, and you have to have hope. And not to trust only in yourself, but you got to trust in that higher self, because that's what
optimism.
The optimism. Yeah, that's what breathes everything into us. And we have to believe in it, and we have to know it, and we have to love it, and we have to trust it, because it grows. It's a seed. It's a seed that was given to us, but we are the ones that water it. We're the ones that pour water on it every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, you guys, I'll let the floor open up to somebody else now.
All right. Thanks for calling, Eileen.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Eileen.
Right.
We'll see you in the chat room, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. So we got a question in the chat room, thetarotguild.com/chat from Susan. And hold on a second. I'm trying to shuffle and pull this up at the same time. Okay, so Susan says she's applied for a job in Texas. Oh, she might be your neighbor soon, Mary.
Hey.
And she needs to know if she should prepare to sell her house by summer. I've applied for a job in Texas and need to know if I should prepare to sell my house by summer. Okay, so let me shuffle here. Gonna take a look at that. And our live streaming is going to stop in just a couple of minutes. So I just wanted to announce that if you're listening live, we'll say goodbye now. And if you're listening, oh, sorry, I just got interrupted by the 90-second warning in my ear. So there you go, 90 seconds. So for those listening in archive, you'll hear the whole rest of the end of the show here. Okay, shuffle, 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 shuffle. This is like, you know, trying to walk and chew gum and tap your belly and your head at the same time. Okay, here. Okay, I'm getting a strong yes there, Susan. And, you know, if you don't hear all of our answer because you're listening, I know she's listening live, and we're going to stop live streaming in 60 seconds. So, Susan, if you don't get all of this, listen to the archive. You know, you can fast forward to the end if you want. But I'm getting a strong yes. Okay. 2 of the 4 yes cards are major arcana cards. This is a big, obviously, you know, life-changing situation for you. The sale of your house can happen very quickly. I'm getting that. Okay. And let's see. Trying to see if there's any other information here. I'm really not seeing anything else per se. Just that strong yes answer. What about you, Mary?
You know, I think I love the way she phrased the question, because I'm getting a yes on prepare. Prepare to sell it. Do all the things that you would do to prepare to sell it. I feel like expect September, October time frame. You know,
okay,
and I think
cool.
you're right that it moves really quickly, you know, once everything's in place. But I think, you know, always, you know, prepare in advance, of course. Summer's a great time to prepare, because I think, you know, like you said, shortly after, it's going to move pretty quickly. But I'm getting September, October time frame for maybe when it goes through, happens, all of that.
Yeah. And the thing is, you know, she was specifically asking about prepare to sell my house by summer. Yeah. And I was getting summer, actually. I was getting, you know, I got the 8 of Wands. It's talking about this can happen really quickly. And 8, you know, August. Okay. So she might sell her house and then rent somewhere for a couple of months, or stay with friends and family for a couple of months before the September, October Texas move, maybe.
Yeah,
something
that makes
like that.
A lot of sense.
Awesomeness.
Yeah.
Awesome sauce. Wow. So, because we were so late getting to the calls, I don't know if you want to take another call or you want to end the show now. I know we're way over.
Let's take another call. Somebody waited that long. Why not? And then just one more, and then we'll call it a day.
Yeah, we're sorry if we didn't get to your call today. The topic went really long, but it was very important. Great psychic spin segment. Just loved talking about that, and loved all your questions that you guys sent in. And we got to pull cards on most of everything. And I just want to throw it out there. If you have any ideas, something that comes up, you know, maybe not right now, but, you know, a couple of weeks or a month, or, you know, anytime something big comes up and you want us to do a psychic spin segment on it, just get a hold of Mary on Facebook or myself, or email us, dax@psychitalk.net, mary@psychitalk.net. You know, we would love to take your questions and turn them into a psychic spin, and areas and things you want us to take a look at. And it can also be the big questions, too, the really big cosmic questions. You know, if you want us to look into, you know, how does this work? Or, you know, does the universe actually
why are
do
we
that?
here?
Why are we here? We'll even do those, the really, really big ones. But if we don't get to your call today, remember, we'll be back on, let's see, Catherine will be here on Monday. I'll be here with Dr. Rose on Friday, and Mary will be back with her, there's a rock for that, next Saturday. So we'll take your calls then as well. Let's see, who's been waiting the longest? It looks like area code 630. 630. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name's Lisa. I just want to say I really enjoyed the show. It was just so inspiring. It seemed on target. The last lady that spoke, it was so beautiful that she was like spiritual in her own way. Like, I'm really religious.
Yeah.
She seemed like religious in her own way, and that she really had beliefs that are working, and I thought it was very nice.
Oh, thanks.
So I wanted to see kind of what you saw for me later. Excuse me. No COVID. What you see for me later this year. Kind of had some health issues, and had to put a lot of stuff on hold for a while. And I'm hoping to move, and I'm wondering, like, what you see. Like, do you see in the immediate area or some area of the country? I'm going to buy first and then sell. And then if I do move, do you see my place selling really well? Like, is it a good area where I live? And, I mean, it's kind of a hot area, but I don't know what the market is.
Right. Okay. So just kind of what do we see happening for you later in the year around connected to this idea of moving, and is it going to be like
well, you know, this COVID thing has
away?
to be over completely. You know, the COVID thing, and
of course,
I can't do anything.
Yeah, a lot of people feeling that way, and that feeling of not being able to do anything, I think, does come up in the Eight of Swords. That's the first part that I pulled here, and yeah, that is going to be like, there's not a lot you can do right at the moment with this, but after that we get the Ace of Pentacles and we get the Chariot card. And we got the Queen of Pentacles as well. So, just generally what I would say about that is, yeah, you are going to have the ability to move and to go forward and to, start, kind of like lay the foundation for like a new chapter in your life. And one that I would say with the Queen of Pentacles, it shows things being like more, like I feel like, it's like a healthier kind of feeling to it, like feeling more grounded, feeling more centered. I don't know if that's a kind of an issue where you are right now, that it just kind of makes you feel like kind of off balance a bit, that it's just there's something about it that's like things aren't really gelling very well or working very well for you. But, I think that, this could be very well like towards the end of the year, and that also as far as, what is it going to be a good place you move to and stuff, with all this earth energy and the Ace of Pentacles especially, I feel like, this move would give you a good foundation for that new start, that you really will feel like centered and grounded and say like, okay, like now I have a good place to start from. Now I have opportunities. Aces are about opportunities often, So I think
do you think
it
it's going to be
really
like local more or out of state? I live in the Midwest.
Right. Well, with the Chariot card, to me, that's saying like, we're moving a little bit further away. Like I wouldn't think from this that it's going to be in your same city. Okay. This might be like a couple hours away, something like that. But let's see what Dax is getting.
Thank you.
Well, for some reason, I don't know. I'm getting, well, definitely slow, steady progress towards your goal in the form of the Six of Swords, and this is also travel over water. Okay, moving from the rough seas to the calm seas. It's going to take a while. Okay, I'm getting a lot of sixes, actually. That's a return to balance and harmony after the chaos of 5. And I also got the Temperance card, another card about moderation and balance and harmony. A lot of that showing up in here, okay? And the Six of Swords can also be travel over water. So if there's like a major body of water where you are, you're on one side, you might be traveling to the other side. But
oh, wow.
whatever, yes, but whatever it is, it's definitely moving. It's not, I'm going to move across town. I mean, this is a move. This is like another state at least, if not. Let me put it this way: it's either at least another state over. Should you have a body of water in between, like going across one of the Great Lakes or something like that, or if not, because I don't know exactly where you're situated, but it might be actually all the way to one of the coasts because of this amount of water in this. In fact, half the cards I'm getting are all cup cards. They're all water cards. It's like water everywhere. There's water in the Temperance card. There's, major body of water in the Six of Swords here, okay? The Central Focus card is the Strength card, which came up, earlier on the show today, and that's a card of, obviously strength. It's inner strength, it's courage, conviction, and maintaining the optimism. It's personal power. You've got personal power here. And so that's got to be your focus right now because nothing's going to happen for quite a while. I'm going to get to the timing card in just a minute. But this is your time preparation, figuring this all out, evaluating things, figuring out where you're going, looking at the logistics, having it all planned out so when it does happen, you're ready. And, right now just having that inner strength and courage and conviction to, maintain the course because the The Six of Swords does represent progress towards your goal, but it's slow, steady progress. Kind of like the Knight of Pentacles is another one that does that. Now, another card I'm getting, like I mentioned earlier, I got the Six of Cups as well, another card of balance, balancing and harmony, and it's an emotions card. What this card is talking about is, and it's a 6, looking back all the way back to when you were 6 years old. And what was it between the ages of, at 6 years old, or, right around there, 6, 7, what was it, the things that made your eyes light up? And that's what you need to focus on.
Oh, my God, Dex. I've been thinking about that every day the last 2 weeks when I've been under lockdown, quarantine. Oh, my God, that's what I think about every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Wow.
crazy that you said that.
Yeah, and I think it's hinting at a new opportunity for you. Just like how in the beginning of the show we were talking about how this is an opportunity for everybody to, reconnect with their loved ones, be home and Skype with them, or if they're in a nuclear family. But also things like, we all have blocks to abundance and negative baggage we're carrying around. We can, use some techniques, learn techniques on YouTube or courses online for, energy healing, emotional freedom technique, NLP practices and techniques, and clear all this stuff out. And then another aspect we brought up was, take a course, learn something new. Maybe you can, by the time this is all over, you've set up a whole new career business for you. And that's what this card is.
Yeah, no, I'm
at.
retiring. I'm retiring completely. And then,
yes,
I'm getting
so
into meditation, gardening, gardening.
We never retire. We never retire. Okay, so we're going to retire from what we're doing now. But what are you going to do with the rest of your life? You can't just sit there and eat bonbons and watch, reruns of the Golden Girls.
Let me ask you a question. Did you see? I've got like a lot of stuff I want to do, but you're just so on the spot. But do you see like my place selling really good, or what do you see with it? Like first I'm going to buy, then sell.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was definitely coming through. I was just about to get to that. That's actually the last card, the timing card with the Temperance. And it's going to require, Temperance is often about the marrying of opposites. It's like cooperation and blending and fusion. There's going to be some of that involved in, the purchase of the new place, the sale of your place. And it's card 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. So it's going to happen after 5 months. In that time frame.
Oh my God, it's going to take 5 months?
Oh, at least. First of all, we got to have the whole health crisis thing has to die down. And then there's all the preparation and everything like that. So it's going to be the end of August, maybe into September at the earliest.
Okay. Will I get a good price?
Don't know about that.
Okay,
I'd have to pull a lot more cards to do that. Yeah.
I want to stage it, and all that. Like I'm going to stage it like it's kind of like Oriental, but very modern and sleek, and it's got like teak furniture. It's kind of like a hot area where I live, so I hope it holds up the real estate market.
Yeah, well, that's another point to this. You see, in some areas, there is a slight depression beginning to happen because of the health crisis with real estate prices. So you wouldn't want to sell until September anyway because you want it to bounce back, and I think it will bounce back that quickly. But really, to get a fast sale and to get the most you can get, it's going to have to be later in the year. It's not any time in the summer.
Yeah.
That's what
Okay. Well, gosh, I can't believe, both of you. Thank you so much. I don't want to keep you, and I just so appreciate it. It's been kind of rough for me.
Thanks for the call.
I'm under this lockdown, so I kind of go crazy. Sometimes I go outside to take a walk, but I really appreciate it. It was just so wonderful listening to you. You're going to have another lecture next week?
Yes.
Next week.
We're here. But next week is
next week is your show.
There's
Mary.
a Rock for That. Yeah, next week is There's a Rock for That. The Saturday after that, we'll be back with the Tarot Today show. But tune in next week too. I'd love to have you listen in and see if maybe
malachite
crystals. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to listen in next week too. I've listened to Dex before. What was your first name again?
Mary.
Well, I just so appreciate it, and I'm going to definitely tune in next week. And I hope everybody has such a blessed day. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
You too. Thanks for calling.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend there, and just for everybody's information. Mary's show next week is her monthly show. She does There's a Rock for That the first Saturday of the month, so write that down. And so the first Saturday of the month is always There's a Rock for That with Mary by herself, and then Mary and I are on together doing Tarot Today Radio the rest of the Saturdays in the month. But I did want to mention I will be back next Friday with Dr. Rose, so if you want to hear us, you can call in next Friday and chat with me if you want. That's when I'll be back. But I'll be back with Mary 2 weeks from today. Yay! Can't wait for your show next week. I want to learn about malachite and what your crystal recommendations are going to be for the health crisis. And we gave out some ideas on today's show, and then you can tune in next week to Mary's show and hear about the crystals.
Absolutely.
Awesome sauce. Oh my God. And I'm so excited. Shout outs to the people in the chat room. We've never had this many people in the new chat room. It takes a while to build it up and people to know to go in there. And we had great, oh my God, great conversations, lots of great people in the chat room along with Mary and I. And remember, every show we do, it's going to be thetarotguild.com/chat. And join the website while you're over there. And remember our Facebook groups, Psychic Talk Radio and Tarot Guild.
Tarot Guild.
Almost up to 6,000 now. 6,000 members on there. Absolutely. And shout outs to our listeners and our callers. We don't have a show without you. And it was just fantastic. Had a great time. I love all the questions for the Psychic Spin. I love all the phone call questions and everything. It was just really great.
Yeah,
so I guess I'll be on air with you in 2 weeks, Mary.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it and seeing what else is going on in our world and connecting with all our listeners and callers. And in the meantime, everybody, be well, be positive, be hopeful, and wash your hands. Stay inside, wash your hands. But keep your spirits up.
Bye, everybody. Stay healthy.
Bye, Dax.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, John Boy.
Good night, Grandpa. Good night, Grandpa.